Hi guys, in this video I'm going to discuss key terminology relating to the topic of Etherchannel in the CCNA syllabus. Firstly, port channeling. So port channeling, what does that mean? So port channeling is basically when we combine 2 to 8 fast Ethernet ports or 2 gigabit Ethernet ports. We combine either 2 to 8 fast Ethernet ports or 2 gigabit Ethernet ports together between two switches, and we make one aggregated logical link. Why would someone want to do that? Well, when you have multiple links together and you aggregate them, you achieve more bandwidth and resiliency, and you reduce the time that STP needs to converge. Because think about it, guys, if you've got a topology of 3 switches and one of the links goes, and those switches have 2 links between each of them, and connected together in STP topology. One of those links go down, STP will need to converge. Another link goes down, STP needs to converge. When you have Etherchannel, you combine the links into, you aggregate the links into a logical link, an aggregated logical link, single link. Now, if that, let's say you have 2, if you got, like I've got 2 markers here. If you've got 2 links, but they're aggregated into one, what happens is, now if one, they logically won, physically 2, but if they logically won, then if one of those physically went down, the link, there would be no STP convergence. So STP convergence doesn't need to occur. That is a great advantage of port channeling, okay? And that's one reason why we do it, as well as as well as the bandwidth benefits. Because now when you aggregate them, you achieve more bandwidth. So that's port channeling. Etherchannel is Cisco's word for port channeling. So essentially, it's their proprietary term for this concept. It's their own word, but the concepts are the same. But here's where there's difference. Port Aggregation Protocol, PAGP, that's a small g. PA, capitals, G, this is small, and capital P. This is a Cisco proprietary protocol used for Etherchannel. Link Aggregation Control Protocol, LACP, is an IEEE standard which is used across the vendors. 802.3AD. This is very important, guys, to note down. 802.3AD. This is the IEEE. It's the IEEE documentation, the IEEE standard for this protocol, and this protocol is used across the vendors. So if you've got a multi-vendor network, then you can use this because it's non-proprietary. It can be used across the networks. It can be used across Juniper, Checkpoint. It can be used across Aruba, Arista, etc. So that is LACP. LACP is open standard. PAGP is Cisco proprietary. Okay, so those are the key terminology that I want to discuss in this video, guys. In terms of LACP commands, there's a command which is used in LACP, which is used to add specified a specified interface to a single Ethernet channel, and that command is channel group. When you follow that command with a number, the number following this command is the port channel ID. So that's the actual ID. So port channel group is used to add the specified interface into your Ether channel. So but remember, port channeling is about bundling interfaces. When you use channel -group, this command, I'm going to put it on the board now, channel -group, and you specify an interface, then you can now start the process of actually bundling them. And you follow that command with a number. So we follow that command with a number. that is one of the key commands to know for PAGP. Sorry, my apologies, LACP. So LACP key commands. Channel dash group. That's the first one. And then interface port channel. The second one I want to introduce to you guys. Interface port channel. This is the command that actually creates the bundled interfaces. Interface port channel. Ports can be added to the interface with the channel dash group command. Okay, interface port. So interface port channel creates the bundled interface. Keep in mind that the interface number must match the group number when you are when you add you specify the interface. Keep that in mind. So it's when you actually do it in a lab or a topology, it clicks in. But this is just to get you guys familiar. Channel dash group interface port dash channel. It's very important to remember. Moving on, the last thing I want to discuss is the modes. The key thing to understand between PAGP and LACP is the modes. So for PAGP, we have dynamic and auto. So dynamic and auto. So my apologies. I think sorry, not dynamic, desirable. Desirable and auto. These are two commands which are used. My apologies, I was getting confused with DTP there. Desirable and auto. These are two commands which are important to know. So desirable. If you were to have two ports together that were both desirable, you had desirable and desirable. This is like two lovers who express their love towards each other. That forms a relationship. Desirable. It's one of these analogies which just works when it comes to PAGP and LACP to explain how these port modes interact with each other. Desirable is basically when one person is like a person expressing his love towards his lover. But if you were to have auto is like a shy person, and that is not going to create a relationship. You have two shy people. If you had one side was desirable, one is going to make a move, the other one's shy, that will create, that works. So that will work. That will work, but auto doesn't work. No, that's terminology for PAGP. Yeah, the Cisco proprietary protocol. So that's what we've got to remember here. However, LACP, in my opinion, and I know this is for it's not just myself has this opinion, even Jeremy Chiara has this opinion from CBT Nuggets. The terms are more easy to understand when it comes to LACP. So, because LACP basically uses the terms passive and active, and that is more it just makes more sense with those words in this context. So when you use LACP, when you don't use desirable and auto, that's not going to work. That's only for Cisco switches. So if you're using a Juniper switch, don't use desirable and auto. Nothing's going to happen. What you need to use is active and passive. So active, that will work. Okay. So yeah, because both sides want to engage in this relationship. Both sides are going to make a move. If you were to have active and passive, that would also work. But if you were to have active on one side, sorry, if you were to have both, if you were to have passive on both sides, that won't work. Passive on both sides will not work. So ensure that both sides aren't passive. That won't work. That will not work. So you can't have that. So basically, that's LACP and PGP in a nutshell. This is one of the key differences. Is obviously is these, the concepts is the same, but you're using different commands here to achieve your objective. But that's what I wanted to discuss, guys. So remember, port channeling or ether channeling, the concept is the same here. You got two, yeah. So if when we were discussing port channeling, what did we learn? With 2 to 8 fast Ethernet ports or 2 gigabit Ethernet ports. With that, we bundle those together. We create a single logical interface, and that logical interface so just a quick summary. Port channeling, what did we learn? 2 to 8 fast Ethernet ports, bundled, or 2 gig Ethernet ports bundled. What does that achieve? That achieves redundancy, and it achieves we get redundancy because if one link goes down, even though they're both physical, because they're logically one interface, like these two pens, they're physically separate pens. But imagine what each one's a link. So separate physical links, but now logically one. So if one link physically goes down, logically they is one. So there is no STP convergence. So it saves us from STP convergence every time a physical link goes down. So I hope hope this helps you guys understand the basics of port channeling, ether channel, and I hope you learned from this video. Thank you for listening and viewing my video.